to the Horror Hangout podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with a K. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And I am the other regular co-host, Mr. No, that still trips me up.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Nice to see you back, Ben.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Sorry for missing an episode, the first episode ever. I know I jinxed myself. I deserve it, if anything, for making that claim.
I was thinking about it, Ben, with another conversation in our group where one of our friends was saying, I've been on holiday to this place every year, apart from last year, of course, because COVID. It's going to be the same with you in episodes. Like the one that you missed because COVID doesn't matter. Everyone's missing because COVID. CC.
Yeah.
Asterix. Because COVID. It's official. I officially got COVID after like a year and however many months. It got me. It was destined for me.
You said Asterix then. The other day, this is an aside. A person, I've heard many people say Asterisk, like it's like a singular. That's not right, is it? It's always Asterix with an X, right? Or is that just is that just the comic, like the French thing?
Asterisk with a K. Oh God!
Asterix.
Someone said Asterisk. I've heard a few people say Asterisk, and I was like, that's
not right.
That's not right.
The other things that we've now gone into like some kind of existential crisis about whether we're right or wrong. That's up for, but Asterisk is definitely wrong.
So there's an asterisk. An asterisk is what I was supposed to say, and an Asterix is the French comic.
It's the French
dude.
The French call
Asterisk.
Hero.
Yeah.
Asterisk is not anything.
It would seem. No. Who is Asterisk? Rick who? Rick.
Asterisk.
Rick Astley.
Yeah. So did you listen to last week's episode, Ben?
Yeah, I did.
Did you want to chime in at any point?
I chime in with, this is my rating for censor. I've still got like a bit of post-COVID foggy brain. I say post-COVID, I might still be carrying some level of disease. Might be COVID, might be other stuff as well. Who knows? So I've got a bit of a foggy brain. So if I'm talking absolute waffle, just let me do it.
Just leave me carry on. You're ill. We've got to be nice.
Carry on. He's all right. Is he ill? Yeah. Let him get out of his system. I think I kind of agree with you guys. I think it was really good. I liked all of I think as you guys mentioned, it captured 80s aesthetic quite well, or at least our memory of that. Like when you said it felt like when you were a kid, you were in all of these colors and video shops.
I was lit in that way. I reckon I was in the aspect ratio.
You worked in an office like that, even though you were like, what, 8?
I was 0 to 7.
0 to 7. But yeah, I think I agree. It's good. I'd probably give it a B+, I think, for completionist.
That's what we gave it.
Across the board.
Snap.
Well, I know that because I listened and I thought I'm going to copy that. I'm going to snipe that. I think Luke, actually, I think you went for an A-, but I was like,
same difference, isn't it? B
same
sharp.
Difference.
The same.
Yeah, exactly. So that was nice. A bit weird to just have a week off, just because, an odd feeling. Felt a little bit left out. You know that FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I had a bit of that, but when I listened back to the podcast, I was like, I'm not missing out on anything.
It's just like you've had a quiet episode, isn't it? It's like, oh, that's the things the other guy said. You can join in on your own. It's like bonus content for you, just for you.
Yeah. I made a few points and you guys seem to agree. So
yeah, we didn't object, certainly.
You seem to agree. And then Luke disagreed and I went, outside then. And we went outside, but I couldn't go near him because of COVID. So that was awkward. Awkward fight we had. But I think he won.
All over it now.
I'm guessing because you were off, you were like scouring the horror news articles, building up a big list.
Basically, that's what I did. I woke up at 6:30 on the dot, a.m., and I thought, let's get the horror news going. Let's scour the web for the best and brightest pieces of horror news, a.m. And then I did that till about probably at 10 p.m. at night, and it turns out I've only got 3 news stories, so I apologize for that. But I wasn't with it, I wasn't at my strengths.
You were slow scrolling.
Yeah. How did you guys finding
we just use Google.
We just Googled it real quick.
Oh yeah,
pretty much while we were recording, right? And then gave up very quickly.
I've never done that. Not even once.
It was a quiet week for us though, for horror news, mainly because we didn't have Ben to talk about the horror news.
It was very quiet. Have you got any horror news? Answer then.
I've actually got one in case you asked that question.
Go on.
Horror news that I saw on the internet this week indicates that an upcoming convention, which the name of which I've forgotten, we're due to get a trailer for the new Chucky series.
Wait, hang on. We already got the new Chucky film.
Is it a TV show?
A series.
Of
a series of Chucky, and
a series. A series of
Chucky.
A series of Chucky, the new Don Mancini series. It'll be on at Comic-Con at Home.
Oh, interesting.
My favorite con.
I also heard, talking of Comic-Cons or cons of sort, isn't the new Neil Blomkamp movie going to be premiered at Fright Fest? Is that correct?
Upcoming Fright Fest, right? Demonic. It's going to open the Fright Fest agenda, which is going to be, I don't have the dates in front of me. It's August in London. It's in real life one again.
Do you think we can? Oh, August. This August.
I mean, as in,
you think we could
in any moment now.
Shall we go?
As I was going to say, maybe we can get some press passes, but that's like in not
we
long.
We got to look into that because there's one of the biggest and brightest UK-based horror movie podcast.
I just kind of assumed nothing was happening. I just assumed everything was online
because we didn't get asked.
It's on in August. If we, just in case they're listening, I know we're big on talking to sponsors and event runners directly. If you are listening, Fright Fest, I'm moving to Scotland just before that event. If you get us press passes, I will fly down. Promise.
They do the one in Scotland as well, though.
Maybe they'll fly you down.
There's like the Fright Fest Glasgow. Is it Fright Fest?
If you do Fright Fest Glasgow, that'll be a lot easier. I'll just not on the train for 20 minutes for that one. But I will fly down to London as well. I'm committed.
Yeah, we should get involved in more live stuff.
I was taking a look at some of the things that are on the agenda. There's some really cool looking stuff. So
that's the on Sono movie. There's the Nicolas Cage Prisoners of Ghostland thing.
Yeah, Prisoners of Ghostland is another one. The Sadness is a movie from Taiwan that looks very interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds uplifting.
What else is on there? There's a Japanese one, and I don't have the title to pull off the top of my head now, but it's like a fun time travel looking type movie where there's like a monitor in another room in the house that is 2 minutes in the future.
Okay, interesting.
I'll have to try and look at the title.
It's just the time settings, though. No, there we go.
No,
back to normal.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. It looks really fun. But
they've
got, and that's only their first wave of announcements, right? I think they've got more. More to
I
come.
keep getting
I really liked
that
Starburst Festival that we went to a couple of years ago.
It's normally in February, isn't it? That one, and it's free. A free film festival where we got to meet Lloyd Kaufman.
Wow.
And watch some movies with him whilst he had his penis and balls tucked between his legs on the screen and also in the audience.
That was really fun. That was really good.
Yeah, it was.
It was a highlight. I keep getting that Neil Blomkamp demonic film mixed up with the James Wan movie, which is called like James Wan's Malignant. I was going to say that, but then it sounded wrong. I keep getting that.
Is this not a Conjuring movie? Is this not a Conjuring verse movie?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's a different one.
It's also not sure. From the Book of Saw.
Not from the Book of Saw, or no.
Insidious. Insidious.
I don't think so. Something separate. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's interesting because he's just decided. I think I'll start a new franchise actually.
Oh, do you know what? I'm sick of this franchise. Boring. I've got to do a Malignant franchise now.
That's exactly what he sounds like.
He's doing Aquaman right now, though, isn't he? Like he's filming Aquaman as we speak. I mean, literally, maybe right now. Maybe if we somehow went into his body, Quantum Leap style, he would be doing a take.
On the set of Aquaman 2.
Aquaman 2. Quantum Leap, you nearly said then.
Aquaman I wish.
I bloody wish, mate. Yeah. So looking forward to both of those. I did see in horror news that the Scream franchise relaunch movie, aka Scream 5, aka Scream brackets 2022 close brackets, is finished. I saw like a image from inside the editor's room, and there was an image of Ghostface as well. Ghostface looks as you would expect,
That's
just
good.
like Ghostface. They've not done anything crazy with him. They've not gone, let's change the mask up a bit. Let's make it out of a different material. No, they've not done that.
Or do one of those masks they used to get at Halloween where the blood would run down it when you squeeze it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Creepy.
Upgrade for the modern era, aka
I absolutely
costumes
loved
20 years ago.
I loved having a Ghostface costume. I rinsed it from Halloween, probably from an age of about 13 to, I don't know, probably 16. Wearing it all the time. Good times.
We're at a church,
Free
we're
years
to
running.
weddings.
Yeah, church, weddings, bar mitzvahs, down a shop.
Good for funerals because it's black. Job
Good to the funeral.
interviews.
Yeah, some people would say, "Oh, that's insensitive wearing the Ghostface costume to a funeral," and I'd say, "Oh, grow up."
As you stabbed them in the face.
As I stabbed them in the face, yeah. Ah!
With a toy knife.
Never caught me for that because I was in costume, so that's good. So yeah, that's exciting. What else? I also saw that Rob Zombie is building. I mean, probably not him, but the crew involved with the monsters, an exact recreation of the Mockingbird Lane house from 1964's The Munsters. And he posted something on Instagram, which is like a lovely sort of detailed image plan of the house. And he's like, get ready for the most perfect Munsters house since 1964. I want this thing exact.
Have we had any more insights into Rob Zombie's The Munsters? Is it horrid monsters where they're getting people and stuff, or is it exactly like the 60s film where they're just nice?
It looks like all of the aesthetically, in terms of the house, the car, and I don't know anything about the character designs, but it looks like he's going to pretty much a recreation of that. But I imagine he would probably turn the concept on its head in some way, surely.
Oh, is it going to be the daughter that's normal in the Munsters? She's the bad one.
Oh, that's interesting. Could be interesting. Yeah, that should be fun. I'll look forward to that. Why not? Why the hell not? What else have we got? And then the only other thing I saw, I know I spent a lot of time searching for horror news, but the only other thing I saw worth mentioning, did you hear that there's like a prequel to Army of the Dead being released on Netflix called Army of Thieves?
Yeah.
Army of Thieves.
Yes.
And it looks like it's nothing to do with zombies at all. It's just that Dieter dude, the safe cracker bloke.
Yeah.
And the history of his little heists and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Does anyone want that? Does anyone want that?
It's not like
he was an alright
gone off a
character.
wild tangent, is it?
I mean, it's a pretty damn wild tangent, considering the main thing that would have made Army of the Dead popular is the fact that it's zombies, and just take the zombies out of it and go, wouldn't we like this man listening to a safe, talking dirty to it to make it open? Wouldn't you like that as a series? I mean,
Yeah, a series ideally, or at least a 3-hour movie.
At least a 3-hour movie. I'd rather have that.
Speaking of series, though, former show guest Godzilla of Shin Godzilla, he has a new series out, doesn't he?
He does. It's like an animated thing on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not watched it yet. 0 point, but my boy Jaguar's in it, so I'll be watching. I'll be tuning in. And
yeah, maybe I'll go and watch that because I enjoyed the Pacific Rim anime series on Netflix. That was cool. So give me some more kaiju action. I'm all over it.
Netflix are just churning out anime now. I feel like they've got loads of stuff coming out. Yeah.
That's pretty much it for horror news from me. Unless anyone else has got anything to add.
No.
No. No. Not yet.
Not yet. In the future, maybe.
We can wait.
No, in some time between now and the end of time, I might encounter some more horror news. I think really maybe we'll do. We'll say this now, so we're committed to it. We'll have a look at some of the upcoming festivals. Maybe we'll have a chat next week about what festivals are on, what's coming, what things we're most excited about in the lineups. We're going to need this type of content if we're going to land press passes and go and lord it up. if we really do a good job, we might get like, maybe a complimentary drink or something, little popcorn.
A little popcorn would be good for me. Just a single little one.
Sweet to start with. Maybe a bit of both.
Half each. Sweet on one side, salted on the other.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But you don't know which side's which. So
you don't know which side which. They turn around to make it. So.
What are you doing over there with my popcorn? Oh, this is a big secret. I don't like
that. Evil.
What are you doing?
Like James Wan again? But you went through directing Aquaman.
No, this is my new franchise.
My new franchise.
The mystery popcorn.
Sounds disgusting. He's cut a hole in the bottom of the popcorn bag. That's all he's done. James, dirty boy.
Oh dear. Has anybody seen anything? Watched or played anything? Read anything? Or even just heard something?
Heard something on the grapevine
this week.
But do you know what? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit you with one thing from all of those things you said. So you think you're being crazy, covering all bases, being really generic.
Well, we know you haven't smelled anything.
I've smelled nothing.
Or tasted anything.
I've smelled zero. And I've tasted nothing. But all of those other things I've done.
All the other senses.
Did you read some Braille? I don't know what that's called. It's just to read, isn't it? You don't Braille the book. I Braille the book.
I've got a new book called Itchy Tasty. It's an unofficial history of Resident Evil by Alex Aniel.
Okay.
I'll show you a picture of it there because it's nice. It's like a hardcover with some nice shiny writing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's pretty detailed, going into everything from the early games and every sort of platform and stuff like that, and some interesting behind the scenes. As somebody who feels like consumed quite a lot of Resident Evil media, got a few books.
Is that a weird name? Itchy Tasty. Surely they would have called it Resident Evil book.
Itchy Tasty is a very famous sort of line from one of the diaries in the first game.
It's a diary entry of like
it's a diary
it's
entry,
like the dog keeper, the guy who looks after the dogs, and
it's basically his diary of him turning into a zombie. So you get some insight into the.
But still, like a mum doing shopping for son at Christmas, he loves Resident Evil, but I can't find anything for him. And it's like a big load of Itchy Tasty books. He just loves that Resident Evil. It's a shame we haven't got any books.
Itchy bloody tasty.
She loves it over her shoulder.
As they got around it, Ben, with a colon answer, they've said like Itchy Tasty colon, the Resident Evil history.
The unofficial history of Resident Evil. And I do like an unofficial history of things, you know. I like the official history too, but I like the unofficial history as well, just to fill in all the little gaps. That's nice. So I've been reading that. It's pretty cool. I've been playing Days Gone as well.
How are you finding it?
Know you're a fan of, Luke. Yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm quite a way into it. I've come across hordes, which are pretty terrifying when you haven't got the significant weaponry or explosives to take them down, and you kind of just run away. Yeah, I like it. It's a great open world game. Pretty creepy. Maintaining your motorcycle is pretty cool as well. It's a good gaming element. Yeah. So of what I've played so far, probably, I don't know, maybe like 10 hours possibly. Definitely enjoying it. Did you hit the credits recently, didn't you?
Yeah. I think it's like 50 hours long, that game. Took me a long time. So I've been playing Alien Isolation finally. Which I know a lot of people have played it. A lot of people who enjoy horror games have always said it's one of the good ones. It's up there with the first person experiences like Outlast and Resi 7. And it is really, I tell you, the very, very best thing about it is that they've absolutely nailed the feeling and tone and aesthetic of being in a rundown, breaking ship that's for some reason got CRT to analog video technology everywhere. Yeah. They've actually nailed that 70s, the vibe from the first Alien. But I will say, I don't know if I'm really enjoying the gameplay element as much as of yet, but I don't think I've got into the swing of it. I've only been able to play 20 minutes since, so I feel like I've not really given it a proper go. But at the minute, I've just been hiding in lockers constantly, just looking at it like a little bleeping screen.
Hidden lockers quite a bit on that game.
It's very tough, isn't it? Like even if you're like a casual, even if you're like a good survival horror game fan, I think it's still super challenging. Like,
you know, my technique for those games is generally to just leg it, like just leg it and keep going forward. You can't leg it because the alien's too fast for you.
Too bloody fast.
It gets a little better on that front, and I think for me when I played it, it kind of timed with my patience a little bit as well. Like early on, Luke, you're absolutely right, and I found it liberating once I got to the point of when I first started the game. I looked at the classic, I looked at the achievements or trophies list, and I was like, one here for not dying all the way through. Right, let's play really properly and do that. Way. And then there was a bit, and I was really going, like my first bit, I think up to just after the first alien encounter, I'd been so cautious and so careful with everything. And then there was a bit where there was nothing I could have done anymore, because there's a bit where you have to run. It's that bit where you've encountered some just bad people.
Yeah.
There's that lift that's coming. There's a lift that's coming for you. You just have to set the lift off, and then you have to just trundle over to it and get in. And I've been so careful, and I got to the lift just for Amanda Rugby to look down and see a tail come through her stomach and then get done. And I was like, oh, right, fine. So I fucked that then. And after that, I was a lot more free with it. After that, I went around, and if I died in a bit but learned where everything was, then I could go back and be more careful next time.
I think I wish it auto-saved as well, because the save points seem to be quite far from one another. And it takes ages because you're sneaking around so slowly from one save point and you're working your way through. And you think, if I die now, I'm going to have to spend like a half an hour just doing the same, waiting in the same spots.
I think there are certain bits where the alien does piss off for a bit. Like, you don't know when they are, but there are bits where you could do like that, that frog that sings the show tunes. You could do that around the spaceship and it wouldn't come.
And then the androids are bloody terrifying as well, aren't they?
Oh yeah. They always say nice things while they're strangling you.
It's such creepy little eyeballs. They're little like red LEDs just looking at you in the distance.
But that's the secret, Luke. Like, once you get the flamethrower, you can be a little bit more gung-ho about it, because you can't kill the alien, but you can spook it off. So I played through loads being quite careful, and then I knew it was quite near the end. I had loads of flamethrower ammo left, so I just ran around, like, just stomping around with my big space boots on, and every time it came over, fuck off! Like,
get the fuck out of here, man!
Can you do much for, like, so I've got loads of like revolver ammo and stuff, and I've not been using it because
you get classic Resident Evil disease, Luke, where you're so cautious and you use nothing, and then you get to the end of the game and you've got fuck tons of stuff left.
Yeah, okay.
Like, just use a little bit. It's all right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Maybe I'll take it a little less seriously and just sort of wang through it a bit more.
Yeah. Just imagine someone's being patronising next to you, going, "It's only a game," and then you would turn around and say, "Fuck off." But
I think it's very tough. But you definitely get to a point where you get into the swing of it a bit. You get into. It took me a long time. I think I tried to play it twice and then I ended up going back to it.
Yeah,
it's good. And then I was like you though, like I was thinking, don't really enjoy this. I was playing it for like 20-minute stints, just doing like one chapter, and then going, oh, okay, I'm stressed enough now. I'll play something nice.
Yeah. I need to find another game, another nice game that isn't like Fall Guys or something to play. I mean, I will say, so I've not really watched that. Well, I've watched Fear Street 1, 1994, sorry, which we'll talk about that next week, I think. So I'll save that. I will say I finished the entire run of Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol comics, which isn't really horror related, but there are some really creepy elements to it, which I recommend to anyone who likes horror, but also likes insane, weird superhero action. Apparently the TV show is good as well. It's got Brendan Fraser in it, but I've not seen it.
I've not seen it yet. It's not on the, a series is a bigger commitment. I'd like to watch it.
Yeah, but I will say Grant Morrison has now firmly secured himself as maybe my favorite comic book writer of all time. I don't know how that happened. He's just so good.
Grant Morrison, such a good writer. They're brilliant. Yeah, it's really puts out some really great stuff. Like the Justice League stuff is great as well.
Yeah, he's so fun. I think that's what it is. He does these big Alan Moore level of mental craziness, but he's also really cheeky. and really punky and irreverent and really silly at times, in the best way. Sorry, they are really silly. I keep forgetting because they changed pronouns now to they, them, right?
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. You gotta learn, grow from this. But yeah, we're doing like, yeah. I've always got time for those series. I've not actually read very much Doom Patrol at all, and it's that list of guilt of things that I really need to get on and.
It's amazing. I'll lend them to you if
oh, nice.
if you want. It's so good.
Yeah, amazing. How about you? Anything else you've seen, Luke, or read or experienced?
No, that's me.
The only thing I was gonna mention. Oh, actually, when you mentioned all those things and you said, "Have you listened to anything?" I thought I'd mention this. We don't really talk about horror themed music very often, because it doesn't come across, doesn't come along that often. But there's a band called Ice Nine Kills, an American metalcore band, and they've released an album quite a few years ago called The Silver Scream, where every song was like based off a different horror movie. I was kind of like, I thought it was all right. I wasn't amazed by it, but they've just released a new song called Hip to Be Scared, which is inspired by American Psycho, and I can't stop listening to it. It is so good, and the video is ridiculous and over the top, and it just seems like a hell of a lot of fun. Lyrically, it's great. It seems to take a lot of lines directly from the film as well. It's got Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach in it as well. It's a good time.
Cool. Yeah,
it's a good time, and there's a little section in there which is really fun as well. So I'll probably go back.
What's that called again? Sorry.
So the band's called Ice Nine Kills, and the album, the album of horror movies themed songs is called The Silver Scream, but this is from a new album, and the song's called Hip to Be Scared. It seems like it's got so much going on, but it seems like perfect for me. But with the first album, I was a bit like, maybe it's too perfect for me, But now I'm involved.
Oh, you said you've done all the senses then, Ben. I haven't got much more to add this week. I read The Underwater Welder. That was really good.
Oh yeah, I like that one. That's good.
Yeah, nice little graphic novel that's just a nice sort of standalone Twilight Zone-y / ghosty story.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay.
Really,
Jeff Lemire as well.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire, a great
illustrating and really good.
Yeah, it's really great. And then game-wise, no horror. Playing a bit of Ratchet, that's nice. I mean, robots can sometimes be scary, but not in this context. They're all pretty cute.
Yeah.
In Alien Isolation, definitely. The only other thing I saw was that Chris Pratt movie, The Tomorrow War.
I did see that, so I forgot about that. I completely forgot.
You did see it. You saw it. You saw it. So I need it felt like I needed like a film to just watch and turn my brain off and just. But I kind of loved it, mainly because of the alien / monster design. I think in terms of the story, a lot of plot holes, a lot of sort of generics, big budget sci-fi action stuff, but I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and apparently there's a sequel in the works. So yeah, but
I also really liked it. It was fine. The reveal of the monsters was really creepy, super creepy.
They're one of those monsters / aliens where you're like, everyone is fucked. You're like, there's no way anyone is gonna survive this. Everyone's fucked. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, I have to get on and watch it now with that review. Just a quick one then from both of you, as you've both seen it. What would you least like to fight? Leggy Venoms from Bit of Quiet Please Place, these monsters, or the time loop ones from Tom Cruise, Live Die / Repeat?
Those ones and Live Die Repeat are unbeatable unless you've got like an exoskeleton armor thing.
Yeah.
And even then, you don't last long.
I kept thinking, this is what I genuinely thought while I was watching the Tomorrow War. I was like, if A Quiet Place had a creature that felt as threatening as this, and they're pretty threatening in A Quiet Place, the design of them I don't like so much. I just thought that the marriage of The Quiet Place in terms of a concept and then the aliens from this film would have been perfect.
Also, the eyes on the design for the Tomorrow War creatures would make sense on Quiet Place creatures' heads because they're kind of like blind looking.
There you go. You see, idea fusion. Amazon, you know where to find us. You want some script doctrine for future projects?
Quiet Place versus.
At least Quiet Place, they've got a weakness. No, it takes a while to work out what that weakness is, and is probably quite difficult to implement.
Got to write on a whiteboard.
Do you think you could get really good at singing that note?
yeah. But the creatures in Tomorrow War, I'm just like, oh, they just keep coming. No matter what you seem to do, they just keep coming. Just give it a rest.
Yeah.
Jesus. Pretty terrifying. Great design.
Well, I'll have to give that a go then. I felt like it was just an action film that might just pass me by. Maybe I'd not given it the respect it deserves. It was straight to streaming.
I thought that too. And then I saw a GIF shared, I believe, on Twitter, which was, I think, the moment of the reveal of one of the creatures. And I was like, oh my God, I got to watch that. Jesus.
Say no more. I will bother.
Definitely bother.
Yeah.
But first things first, I've got to finish watching all of Fear Street. So we've got a whole trilogy to cover next week. So.
Oh, yeah. I've only seen one so far. But the third one's not out yet, is it?
It's this week, is it? Later this week?
Yeah.
I'm a bit of the way through the first one right now. It's all right so far. It's good. Spoilers.
It's good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, cool. So that's it. Unless anyone's got any.
No, I'm nothing else.
No, all good. This week's movie.
This one's been a long time coming. It seems like one that we've suggested a few times over the years, and we never quite got around to it. And when we were knocking around ideas of what to watch, I think, Luke, you suggested it, didn't you? Fancy a little go on this one. So, The Return of the Living Dead is a 1985 American comedy horror film written and directed by Dan O'Bannon. When two bumbling employees at a medical supply warehouse accidentally release a deadly gas into the air, the vapors cause the dead to rise again as zombies.
Cool. So on IMDb, this is sitting at 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have given it 91%. That's the fresh rating, I think.
Wow.
What's the cutoff for a fresh? Is it 91?
60?
Yeah, I think it's like.
Is it 60? For fresh? I thought maybe that less than that was rotten. I thought like fresh had to be like a 90.
Sure.
Well, critic score gave it 91. The audience gave it 79%. Letterboxd has it at 3.8. I tried to pick some choice reviews. I'll be honest, a lot of the 5-star reviews are not succinct. People, when they love this film, they just go on and on about it. And there's just like paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff. I got this one from Laird in 2014. He just put perfect in every way, 5 stars. I did get Laurie Strode left a review, interestingly.
Oh, why?
What?
Yeah. Subverts enough expectations in regard to the upending of zombie lore. The film is half zombie terror, part parody of said zombie terror, and all rock and roll, baby. 3.5 stars. And then last person, John Tilden, put, this is kind of a hoot to watch, half a star.
Half a star?
Well, it's kind of a hoot.
Kind of a hoot.
I mean, that's to me, a kind of hoot reads like 2 stars to me. Like, it's kind of a hoot. But
yeah,
kind of
a hoot. Just 2 stars, just half a star.
Yeah. There's some like other halves though, just like this movie is not good. But I do feel like people who love this movie, this is when I think of cult movies. This is a very much a cult movie. People, I should have seen these paragraphs. They were never ending. These reviews. So have you guys seen it before? Do you know much about it?
I've not seen it for a long time. I was trying to work out when I sat down to watch it, ready for this week's episode. I really loved this movie. I think I had it like VHS off the TV, and I think I watched it an awful lot, but I don't think I've seen it for, oh gosh, I want to say like maybe somewhere between 25 and 28 years. It's been a long time since I've seen it. A long time.
You'd have been lit in all the 80s light when you.
I'd have still been in the appropriate. I'd have still been in the appropriate light for that movie when I saw it as a kid. Maybe the last time I saw it was maybe when I was like 10, 11. It was. It's been a long time.
I was pretty sure that I'd seen this before, but when I was watching it, I was like, maybe I haven't. It's definitely one of those where I've got some memories of it, and other parts. So I'm like, I've definitely not seen that before, so I can't really say. But it's definitely one that I've not given enough attention, considering how much attention it does kind of get as a cult horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it maybe a few years ago, but it wasn't one I grew up with. I remember seeing Return of the Living Dead 2 as a young teenager for some reason. But yes, I don't have that early. It wasn't introduced me maybe at the right time, as it seems from what I can tell from all these really really positive reviews. People kind of found this movie, taped it off the TV or whatever, and they watched it repeat over and over again. Like one guy was saying, it's one of the 7 movies he just watched. They just rinsed and just broke the tapes because they were watching them.
That wasn't me that wrote that, but it could have been. That was it. We recorded it off the TV, and then it was it from there. And you reminded me that all this talk of VHS artwork as well. This series is another one that I had really strong memories of from the video shop. Return of the Living Dead 3. It like has a woman on the front. She's got like pins coming out of her head. She's got like claws it's a bit like the Alan Partridge zombie that he dresses up as, with like bits that he's made.
Tungsten screws. Really good for making a point.
But that's what it is. It's like a goth girlfriend that's now a zombie, and she's in the front. And that was one of the scary covers I remember looking at the video shop.
Yeah,
as a little kid.
It's worth noting Dan O'Bannon is, the writer of Alien. He wrote Dark Star, which is John Carpenter's first film. He looks like, I'm just looking at his filmography now. He's done a lot of things. He was the writer of the story of Alien vs Predator and the story of Total Recall, although that's like the remake, so it doesn't count. But yeah, he's done a lot. He's very respected in a kind of slightly unappreciated way, I think. I don't think he died that long ago.
Now, what's his relationship with the original, like, of the Dead series with Romero? Did he work with him at some point?
I don't think so. It doesn't look like it.
Up on my trivia.
It doesn't look like it. It is weird because this is kind of a quasi-sequel, like a sort of sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
They somehow managed to work it into the lore of the film without it actually being like although I guess you can't do an official sequel, can you?
Yeah, they've kind of made it like this is one step closer to reality. It's very early in the film, so it's worth mentioning about now. They mention basically when they're chatting in the office, do you know that film Night of the Living Dead? Well, it's based on real things that happened.
Yeah.
The filmmaker was going to tell the story, but they told him he'd sue him. The government did, so he changed it, and it made it like zombies in this place, but actually it's based on this chemical thing, and we happen to have it in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, so this 1985. So this is based on a novel, I think, an adaptation of a novel potentially.
Yeah, it was a book, and the book's quite different. Apparently, he changed it quite a bit, and he wanted to put in some more comedic elements, I think, in particular. I read a little bit of the trivia, and I thought I might try and seek out the book of this because it'd be interesting to see what differences there were. Because there's a lot of, for a film that moves, and we'll come to it at quite a rapid pace, right? Things happen fairly quickly in this movie. The cold open is brilliant, and things happen very quickly, but there's a lot of depth in the background and things to characters that never really get explained. I wonder if they're nods to the book or they're things that just, they put in for some background detail because not everything has to play out. But it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot to this, more to it than I remember there being.
I'll tell you what. Go on, Ben,
sorry. So it seems from reading here that the novel it was based on by John Russo, I think John Russo and George A. Romero will work together on Night of the Living Dead. They parted ways. Russo retained the rights to any titles featuring Living Dead, while Romero is free to create his own series of sequels. So obviously, I guess by making that book and then selling the rights to that's how
that was the mistake I'd made. It wasn't the director that was the same. It was the writer that worked with him in the source material. There we go.
Yeah. There was a band where I used to play in Derby called Send More Paramedics. I never really knew where they got their name from.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember Send More Paramedics. Yeah, they used to dress as zombies, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or maybe that was just a video. I remember Send More Paramedics. That's from reading Kerrang magazine. Like, Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
obviously.
never knew where they got the name from. I always thought the name was just a funny, term.
I didn't know that either.
add that to your very long review on Letterboxd, Ben. Little anecdote of
I love it. That's cool. I like those little factoids.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Okay, so who have we got in the film? Clu Gulager. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He plays Bert, who I think is the guy who works
the boss,
at the office.
right?
Yeah.
Bert the boss.
Yeah. Boss of the like medical supply company warehouse. And then the manager dude is Frank, the manager of the thing. And who's the younger kid called? Freddie.
Thom Matthews.
Okay.
So he's just starting working there at the medical supply warehouse. And then Ernie is the what's the word for him? Embalmer. What's the word? Mortician. Yeah. And then there's a crew of punk rockers, classic 80s punk rockers, like named after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villains.
We have Spider, Scuzz, Trash, Suicide. Is that it?
Yeah.
Spider,
Chuck,
and then the others are Chuck.
Chasing. Tina. That's a classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain name, if you ever wanted one. Krang, and then Tina.
If we had an 80s like band / like gang that a mismatch that hung around, we had to have really hard names, what would you guys choose?
Oh, it is a good question. Scab.
I
was going to say Bulk, but that's a little bit too close to Bulk and Skull.
The heroes of the Power Rangers in many ways.
Yeah.
Cue
I'll go with it'd be like Cue Ball, Bold.
Bold. What's it? It's got to have a nickname for him. Well, he's bold, isn't he? What should we call him? Bold man.
Bold.
Skin.
Bold bloke. These are like classic nicknames that obviously they've given themselves. We've all known somebody over the years who's got a nickname, and you think, why are you called that?
I told you about Blade, haven't I?
I think you have told us about Blade.
Uncle Blade.
Uncle Blade. God, can you refresh my memory, but also the memory of the listeners for Blade?
Oh, I actually forgot why he was called Blade. Now I'm sure I'll have to listen back to that old episode because I'm sure I said my uncle has a best mate who comes on holidays with us. His name's Blade. He's like
It's mad. I had that
short, chunky Englishman.
Yeah. With blades. I recently came across something similar where somebody that I knew from years ago, I referred to them, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, what, Viper?" And I went, "What?" And he went, "Oh, yeah, that's Viper, isn't it? That's Viper." I was like, "Absolutely not. I've never called him Viper in my life." And then they proceeded to ask somebody else what this person's name was, and they were like, "Oh, what, Viper?" And I went, "No way. How is this caught on?"
No one gets
some absolute dweeb of a man who's managed to convince two people and probably more that his name / nickname is Viper. Ridiculous. Not having it. For what? For what reason? Is he Randy Orton?
He's probably just getting you to next time you see him say, "All right, Viper." And like, what?
And I'll go, "All right, Viper," and then everyone will jump out. He's only got a fallen for it. What?
Yeah.
Although that'd be perfect. Like maybe that is the ultimate test in this society. If you've truly won, it's not if you're rich like Richard Branson, go to space. It's if you've succeeded in the unobtainable goal almost.
Yeah.
To choose your own nickname that isn't just your own name with an O or a Y at the end.
I mean, if you move to a completely new area, you can probably get away with it by going, "Oh, well, my name's Ben, but my friends call me Venom."
Venom.
What nicknames have you had in the past? I've had a few weird ones.
I don't think I've really. I don't know. Ben.
Interesting. You've got a short name already.
Benjamin Button is one that kind of sticked in my in my last workplace. Not because I aged backwards either. Because I definitely don't. Cue Ball was one as well. No, it's not.
Bold.
The best The best gang nickname submitted so far. I was on Twitter with this yesterday, and friend and previous guest of the show, Alice Taylor Matthews, was on and said for hard names, she'd choose Sudoku because they're quite hard. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Sudoku. Yeah.
Bald,
But they'd be like a band.
Scab, Sudoku. I think maybe
Sudoku.
I'll pick. I guess I could go the Luke option. I could go hair, which is the opposite, or I could have
bold and hair.
Bold and hair. Bold and hair. You know, the guy with hair, like Jimmy Two Hats. Frank the Tattoo, because he didn't have a tattoo.
Razor, toothbrush, just
razor, phaser, laser.
They sound like
blazer.
Makers of computer mice. They've always got insane names that sound like airplanes or something.
Razor just sounds painful. Putting a mouse made by Razor in your hand. Ah!
Oh, it bit me.
It's like you and the gaming chair, like the Omega Supreme or whatever it's.
I think the Omega Supreme I had one at McDonald's the other day. Really good.
Delicious. And they went, yeah, cheers. See you later, Bold.
Where's hair?
Where's hair? How's hair? I'm Sudoku. Get me started on Sudoku.
The amount of times people have looked at me and said, "Where's hair?"
Whereas, well, I'd like to know. As a bold man, has anyone ever said this to you? I've had this a few times, and I've always been confused by it. They've always gone, "Why don't you just grow some hair?" And I go, "What?" And they go, "Well, like you said, like you miss your hair. Why don't you just grow it back?" And I'm like, "Well, that's not why I'm bald. I'm not bald because I decided one day that I was just going to be bald. I didn't know it worked for me."
Yeah, no one's ever said that to me, I'm afraid.
I've had it more than once.
You ever thought about like, being like really spiteful, and you're like, "Oh, why didn't your parents just love you?"
Your parents just love you. Why don't they raise an actual functioning human being?
Why aren't you more successful?
Oh well, I've got these candles that I make. No, shut up.
All right, wax, get out.
All right, waxy ears, get out.
So we've got these fantastically named characters. Anyone else we need to mention by name?
Not really. Well, there's like a colonel dude who we're introduced to. What is it? Right at the start?
Yes, he's Chekhov's colonel, played by a man named John Terry. Not that one.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Terry. He was like, "Well, I'm gonna do this film, but then I'm gonna go and play for Chelsea
and have affairs with people's wives.
Oh yeah,
at liberty.
Dirty bastard." Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the gang's all here.
The gang is all here. So I guess
it's an interesting setup, isn't it? This film, like the whole a guy starts working at a medical supply place, and the guy who's showing him the ropes is kind of being that kind of boss who wants to kind of impress the young one a little bit. He's sort of showing all of them the gruesome parts of the job, and that we want to see something really creepy. That kind of element.
Wants to be his mate.
Yeah,
shows him the cadaver in the freezer downstairs. He shows him the split dogs. He shows him all of the things that are going on. I really like the dialogue in this. It's quite like it's of the era, but it's really quite punchy. And he's like, "Oh shit!" It's like, "Watch your mouth, kid." Like,
I also like they're really friendly. Like he's a punk kid. Like he seems like an anti-establishment type. Never get a proper job, but this seems like the kind of job that he'd actually quite like, working in with body parts and stuff. And I like that they're kind of chummy. It's really nice. I don't know. I just think it's.
It feels like the kind of job that maybe his mom has got him, or like one of his parents has got him set up to go and do, and like a friend of the family's doing them a favor, so he's going and he's behaving, and this guy is like showing him around, showing him the ropes, and it's really cool.
You want to see a dog in
half dogs?
Yeah, it was one of those half dogs.
Stop! Smash it with like a crutch.
Yeah. So Frank shows them around a little bit. And they have a bit of back and forth, and then at some point they sit down and they're doing their paperwork. Frank gets on the phone, tells his wife to keep the pot roast on for an extra hour or something. Be home soon.
Be home in an hour, mate. Yeah, keep the dinner on. keep the dinner hot for an hour, not just one better coming back in about an hour. No. If it drops below optimum temperature, I'm going to know.
It's like speed, but with cooking and temperature. If it drops below this many things, a bomb will explode underneath the kitchen.
If it drops to tepid at any point.
Tepid. Lukewarm.
Oh, that's a nickname.
Yeah.
Lukewarm.
Frank is. What's his name? Thom. Freddie. Freddie says, "What's the craziest thing you've seen come in here?" And then Freddie says, "What's the guy's name?" Frank. Frank tells him about the Night of the Living Dead bodies that have got the canisters down in the basement. It's quite nice. He's like, "Nah, I don't believe you." Come on, I'll show you.
It's like the old downstairs. Guy that you work like, when if you ever worked at a shop, there's the guy that's been there forever that works in the warehouse. He knows some stuff that's gone on. Yeah,
I'd like to see a sequel where Freddy kind of becomes the manager.
I get that sometimes. You watch a horror film and goes, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice?" I know it'd be a boring film, but just things work out. Just a film where he slowly works his way up.
Yeah, really nice.
If we're getting a spin-off to Army of the Dead, I think we deserve a spin-off, The Return of the Living Dead, where Freddy climbs the corporate ladder.
Yeah. The lack of the Return of the Living Dead, where that accident doesn't happen and he really makes a go of things.
Yeah.
Return of the Living Wage.
Oh.
Oh God. He goes to hit the canister. He goes to go, "Yeah, this canister's fine." And as he goes, he grabs him and goes, "No, don't. Just don't."
Even if it's fine, it's best not to risk it. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't we call that number? Why don't we call that number that the army has on there, and they'll come and collect it, and it'll be safe? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So what's the story? So they went to move the bodies, and then they lost them in the shipment, or the shipments got mixed up, or something like that.
There'd been a chemical leak which apparently affected some bodies, leaked into a morgue, and all the bodies were moving around and jumping around the place. Yeah. So the army contained it. They canned all these things up, and they're meant to ship them somewhere to dispose of them.
Mm-hmm.
But because the logistics corps are no good, they accidentally shipped them to this medical supplies place. And they get supplies from all over the world. They get their split dogs. They get their skeletons, which apparently always come from India.
Because they've got perfect teeth. There's a skeleton farm.
Skeleton farm.
Yeah.
And this is all the stuff that's going on. And then we get some shade on another department of the army, the Corps of Engineers. He goes, "Oh, aren't you worried it's going to leak?" And he's like, "Oh, the US Army Corps of Engineers made this," and he gives it a whack, and it immediately leaks. And that's your cold open.
Yeah.
And the gas makes them pass out immediately, sort of into each other's arms, which is quite nice. They can both collapse together in a little ball.
And then we get over the credits with the skull, you see a face or like a body inside this canister behind some glass, and it's melting away. I don't know, spoil it. Have you got any trivia for today, Luke, or shall I share a bit now?
You know what? I kind of thought you guys might have some name game you'd want to contribute. So I've only got a couple. So if you want to save some trivia or something or whatever.
I got some names.
Give us some trivia. Give us some. If you got some trivia about Melty Face,
the Melty thing here, they obviously built it and then they heated it and then sped it up, so you get that effect of the stuff melting off it. The crack that appears in the glass, that happened by accident as a result of heating the thing up. So
that's quite nice.
Happy accident in the making of the film.
That's cool. Yeah,
love it.
It reminded me of the Adam and Joe show. You know when they used to do that thing where they'd write the name in butter and they'd melt it and do it in reverse.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of these elements where a punky synthy score kind of plays over the top whilst ominous things happen. Things start shaking about. Do they get up and then they immediately hear dogs barking? They start coughing and they go.
So they get up. They're coughing and spluttering. They've obviously passed out for a while. At some point, we've had Chekhov's Colonel, where it showed that there is an army guy doing something and has to be available 24/7. But yeah, we just go to them getting up and they're spraying deodorant around, and they find that there's things that aren't right. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know about calling the boss. They find that dogs are barking. At the same time, we're introduced very briefly to the gang, who all know Freddy, and they're coming to meet him from work. They're going to go and meet him from work so they can do some no good kids hanging out
loitering
in places they shouldn't be.
They turn
it's quite
up
a
bloody
mismatched gang, though.
Yeah. It seems
Yeah,
it's very...
a couple of them don't fit. There's Freddie's girlfriend Tina that doesn't seem to fit in with the punk aesthetic of 90% of the rest of the band, and then that guy who's a bit of a loser.
Wait, which one?
There's the kind of preppy guy with like the curtains and the the suit jacket versus everyone else who is a punk, right?
Yeah, the guy with like slight dreads. I think he's halfway between punk and I think he's wearing a jacket or something as well, or
like a military jacket, almost Spider.
Yeah, Spider. So then they bash the half dog with the crutch, and then the cadaver starts banging against the door.
Yeah, the cadaver looks like the guy from the Tango adverts, doesn't he?
Yeah,
but not orange.
Rub your face, but it doesn't count the fit. But mostly, this is the first instance of it, and this is true throughout the film. I was torn when it first started to go, this is really quite overacted. But actually, I found it really effective as the film went on. It isn't like zombie, like classic zombie mode. These guys are screaming all the time. And the beginning of this bit, there's literally the door with the cadaver in is locked. We saw as the credits rolled, the smoke, the fumes from the canister have gone into the air conditioning system and circulated around the warehouse. Because this is actually a different bit of the office, the building, and then the cadaver is locked in the storage container, but he is hammering at that door and just screaming. And it's not like just a tiny moaning. This is someone doing their absolute best at screaming.
I think even Freddie and Frank's like reaction in these initial scenes as well is over the top. And initially I was like, oh God, give it a rest, guys. But then I was thinking, you probably would react like that. Things coming back from the dead. You probably would just be like, what the hell is going on? I'm terrified. And they're like screaming in terror, like constantly, especially when there's like an attack from the cadaver, like quite early on.
Yeah, this is coming up now, in fact. So they thought, right, we can't call the army because that's worse than calling the police. If we call the police, we'll be in loads of trouble. We'll lose our job. So the thing to do is phone the boss, and they do phone the boss, and the boss, whose name is Bert the boss.
Bert the boss.
Bert the boss comes in, and he knows what he's going to do. He talks them through it, and it's just some great dialogue because they are panicking. Oh, here they are behind me, for those watching the video.
You wouldn't want them really in charge of anything, would you? You wouldn't be like, come on, lads, sort it out.
Okay. Try and sort it out. And he's talking them through. He's like, right, be brave now. Like, if it has come back to life and it's a dead body, and everything's come back to life, you see in the warehouse even some butterflies that are pinned to the thing to a card a flap in. And he's like, okay, if it is, I saw in the other bit of trivia as well, it's one of the few zombie movies where they actually mention the word zombie.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's obviously because it's in a world where Night of the Living Dead exists.
Where zombie fiction is a thing. So yeah, they talk about, okay, so what do we do in the film? In the film.
Was it like Shaun of the Dead was the first film where they kind of started to bridge that gap where people started to mention zombie? I mean, even in Shaun of the Dead, they say we don't call them that, like the Z word.
Call them what you like.
Yeah, but like I feel like before that, people never said zombies in films, and now after that, it became just people.
Yeah, not sure if it's like a deliberate thing or just incidental, but you're right. Like in a lot of movies before, well, now this example and Shaun of the Dead more recently, 90% I would say of zombie fiction, of zombie movies exist in a fictional universe where there is no such thing as zombies in fiction. Because no one knows what they are.
It's because there's always that terror of when the outbreak happens, is that nobody knows how to react. That's the reason it seems to take over as quick as it does, because nobody knows the rules and what they're dealing with.
This is one of the things I really like about this movie, because they do know the rules and it doesn't really work, and it subverts so much stuff because of it. So the guys talk about like, what do you need to do? Well, in the movie, you have to destroy the brain. So they go through this whole process of one of them's going to unlock the door. One of them's got like a pickaxe, and the boss, Bert, is standing back in the rack and waiting and hiding. They unlock this door, and this big tango man runs out, just going brain, and and another great thing as well. They point this out in dialogue later, but for now they point like the zombies aren't any stronger than a regular person. They're just the same as regular people are, but they're dead. So the two guys, Frank and Freddy, they literally pin him down, and they give this guy a pickaxe to the head, but he isn't dead. He's still wobbling about and struggling. So Bert the boss takes a saw and saws his head off. And the body still gets up and runs off.
Yeah.
And the guys are screaming, and it's wild.
So then they cut him to pieces, put him in some bin bags, and decide they're gonna take him next door or not far away to mortician's place. Is his name Ernie? I think it is, or something, isn't it?
Yeah, Ernie the mortician.
Yeah. And I'm gonna see if he'll do it as a favor, if they'll like get rid of the body.
Yeah, so they're going to take the body over there.
Initially, they say to him, "Don't worry, it's just a bunch of rabid weasels in these bin bags that are moving." And he's like, but for some reason, Ernie's like, "Animal rights," and I'm not just going to murder him.
He said you can't burn him alive. You've got to shoot him first.
And he's like, "Oh no, that I'm sorry, that's not going to work."
Not going to work.
The little piece I found out, and again, this is when I talk about the depths that aren't really explored in this movie. If this was Zach doing this, there'd be a prequel about this. Apparently, again, looking at the trivia, there are several hints to Ernie being like a former Nazi and hiding.
Oh God!
Really?
Because he's got a little Ruger in his
he's
hand,
he's got like a German service revolver. Apparently, the music he's listening to on his Walkman is like an old German military song. And somewhere in the background, the IMDb trivia says there's like a picture of like Eva Braun.
But
as far as former Nazis go, he's a good ally in this one. He's a nice friend to them. He does agree. They open the bags of zombie bits and reveal to him the truth. And one of the arms comes out and like rips his scrubs. But he does agree to help them and use his furnace to burn the body, because that's the only way they can think of as
I think they mention acid at one point, don't they? And then decide burning is probably going to be the best.
I love the comedy of errors aspect to this. So the first thing, like this showing off when they slap the canister, now let's slap the gas. You get the boss who saws the thing to pieces, and they said, let's take it to the mortician. He says, let's burn it. And he says, make sure there's nothing left. Make sure there's not even ashes. And they burn it at this ridiculously hot temperature, which makes it spill out. Like every little piece of the zombie goes spilling out into the air. It's a massive cloud, which then rains down on the graveyard.
That's such like if they just burnt it to ashes, that would be fine. But yeah, he agrees to help them. I guess before this happens, because the cloud triggers the rain to come, we get absolute staple of an 80s horror movie, right? The punks who are waiting for Freddy to finish work have chosen to hang out in the graveyard, and as you do when you're hanging about in the graveyard, one of your characters, whose name is Trash, decides, she first has like a morbid chat with Spider, and I love this dialogue. So fun. It's on, if you watch there's part of the soundtrack, there's some songs in this, and then the music video for it actually it has this bit of dialogue again. So where Trash is talking to Spider, and she's like, "You ever wonder about the worst way to be killed never really thought about it, to be honest. Well, it would be really old men just eating me up and eating me alive, and it'd be the worst. And then, inspired by that conversation, after Spider goes, try not to think about dying that much, if I'm honest. She goes, right, I'm getting hot anyway. So then she does a musical number where she strips and dances on a graveyard, on a grave, like on a tomb, while the other punks get flares out. And they do like a coordinated dance number around her.
Who's the guy? Naked. Is it Spider who's like, my parents don't even understand me? Who's like,
oh, that's good.
Scud. Okay.
Scud or Scuzz, what's his name? Yeah, it's Scuzz is the driver, and he's got he's probably the most heavily punk, right? He's got like a big
this
jacket
isn't a
covered
costume.
in chains right up his nose.
So doesn't he say this isn't a costume? This is a way of life. So.
Yeah, Trash is coming over to him and is like, is like she remains naked for the majority of the rest of the film now.
There's even like moments in this film where she kind of gets dressed a bit, but then whatever she's decided to cover herself with gets like ripped away again. It's like somewhere in her contract, probably not her contract actually, probably the director's like, right, you got to be naked at least 80% of the time. All right, that's 79, not good enough.
Oddly enough, when I was watching this with Karen, and she goes, "Oh, did they she's doing a dance number where she's stripping? Did they just hire a stripper for this one?" It isn't. The actor that plays Trash is not a stripper by trade, or at least wasn't in the IMDb profile. Her name is Linnea Quigley. She's been in loads of horror movies over the years. But apparently one of the others, I think, oddly enough, maybe the person that plays, it's either Tina or Casey. It'd be funny if it was Tina, because she's the preppy girlfriend of Freddy. She was a stripper, and they hired her to do another role and went, "No, I don't want to strip in this film. Find someone else."
Oh, right. I'm over it.
Yeah, I want to keep my clothes on in this one. But it's not Trash in this one. She gets her clothes off, and she's, as you say, Ben, she's coming on to onto Scuzz there, and he's like, "No, this isn't a freaking costume, man. Have some respect,
costume, man. Have some respect for the dead. Stop gyrating all over the dead."
Yeah.
Why?
And I think it's probably a little bit after then that the cloud of zombie smoke.
Yeah, it's cut between the two, right? So that happens, and we go back inside. The thing happens, and then it starts raining, and they all run back to the car because the rain. It's not regular rain. It's a bit stingy.
Yeah.
Acid rain.
And then inside the morticians, Ernie and Bert are starting to feel a little bit sick. They're really pale. They're complaining about aches. They feel like they've got like flu. And then they try to get into the hospital. I think that's when we get the first load of paramedics sent.
Yeah, we call the paramedics, and because they're still in cover-up mode, so they go, "Oh, we've got 2 men that are poisoned here," and they send them some paramedics to see what's happening. Meanwhile, we see a couple of zombies sort of beginning to rise deep in the ground, claw the way
one
out
who's just
there.
a pure skeleton apart from
eyeballs.
yeah.
I mean, I like that element actually. Like, if it was just a skeleton, it would look just like a dummy. For some reason, having the eyeballs in there makes it look like it's still alive for some reason.
Yeah. And they're slowly but surely digging their ways up. They're not attacking people yet, but we know.
Yeah.
We're watching a film called Return of the Living Dead. This is coming, but we get the ambulance crew arrive first, and this is really I found this a really nice take on a zombie movie when the ambulance men come, and it's could almost be a carry-on film. It's done quite in a funny way, but they come and they examine. Freddie and Frank, and they're like, "Oh, is your stethoscope working? Can I borrow it?" It's like, okay, and they kind of go through and say, "Well, you've got no heartbeat, you've got no blood pressure." They take the temperature, and they are at room temperature. And they go, like, "Are you saying we're dead?" And they go, "Well, no, because you're awake.
You're at room temperature. Well, that's good, isn't it? What's wrong with that? Lovely."
Just the job. But yeah, so through all of the tests that the paramedics can do, these guys appear nothing indicates that they're alive. Their pupils aren't moving, not responding to light. So for all of their tests, these men are dead, except they are awake and they are talking.
Yeah.
So and the guys, they really ham it up so many times because they get visibly upset. They're screaming, they're crying, they're in terrible pain. Freddy's in like almost rigor mortis in his joints because he's getting really stiff and he's like snapping it out.
Getting like a pooling of blood as well, where he's lying down on his back.
Yeah.
Not on the outside of his body. I mean, like on the inside, it's like showing as a bruise. I forgot we didn't mention the line. There's a load of cool lines in this, but earlier, Freddy did the. You mean the movie Lied?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they don't kill when they can't kill the zombie with a smash in the head.
Yeah.
The same as like when they say, "Oh, what happens if it doesn't work?" It's a good question. It's a good question, Bert.
The movie Lied. Fake news.
Yeah. So I guess outside the zombies start burning up and chasing the punk kids.
Yeah. Do they get the paramedics first without anyone knowing?
Yeah, I think that might be
because it's when the punks come in that they look out and so they see. So yeah, the paramedics go out first, and this is the first big attack, right? Where they come out, they put the lights up on the ambulance, and then there's just a wall of zombie guys standing in front of them.
You know when the paramedics get knocked over or like surrounded by zombies dead quick, they properly get knocked off their feet. There's one guy who goes flying. Yeah.
They do it with everyone they meet. They proper like mob rush them. Yeah. And like the other guy that's in the ambulance, he literally, some zombie just throws the door open and like just yanks him out of the cab of this. Yeah. Out of the cab of this thing.
It's genuinely quite scary, those bits.
I think these are some of the like genuinely like quite scary zombie moments because it isn't stylized as much in some others. It's not like a Resident Evil or even the remake of the Dawn of the Dead where they're incredibly fast, because even then there's almost like a cinematic aspect to it. And the zombies are, they're doing headshots and taking the zombies out and everything like that in films like that. In this, even in later scenes where people have guns, they just rush people, and it isn't elegant and it isn't like finessed, and they're not parkouring around.
Yeah,
they just wave over people and tackle them to the floor. And they have fast zombies as well, right? So this is a fast zombie movie in 1985. Yeah.
They're just so unpredictable, I think. I think that's one thing that's like quite scary about them. And obviously they've got a level of intelligence as well. Horde mentality.
Yeah.
Or even more, they've got some tricks that these guys like to play.
Oh yeah.
We come to that, but first, so they take out the paramedics that are there, and we see the I guess the punks outside. They get attacked and they break into a couple of different groups. Having mentioned it would be her least favorite way to die. Trash gets got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mobbed by a load of old fellas that get all around her. And
I was just thinking about this just 15 minutes ago. Well, would we like to get mobbed and eaten by a load of old fellas? Dream come true.
Yeah, and it's not what they were hoping for. But the others kind of split off and go in different directions. Tina has separated already because she went on ahead to see if Freddy had finished work yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she is currently trapped in the basement. When she goes on ahead, we see the tar man for the first time. I know this one affected you, Luke, the tar man.
Tar man, I think, is one of the best creature designs, full stop. I mean, he looks goofy, cartoony.
Lovely set of teeth.
He's got like a set of teeth from animatronic face thing going on. So he looks like, in the turtles in the old films. Like, I think I saw a video or something of them without the skin on. So it's just like the stuff underneath moving around. It kind of reminds me of that. And his voice is like boomy, obviously like overly processed. brains. He's just a cool. I don't know. He's just a really fun character. I think. I don't know where he got the Tar Man name from. I don't know if he's actually credited as that, but he's known as the Tar Man.
The Tar Man,
bitten by a radioactive tar.
I think he's great. He's a brilliant thing. Is that he has got Tina trapped in the mortuary. They had classic old wooden stairs that break and you fall down them. Got another little bit of a cheeky little bit of trivia here. The director had not told Beverly Randolph that stair was going to break, so he just let it break and she fell through, which is why she doesn't get up and run off immediately, because she did hurt herself.
Broke her shins.
Just do that making a film. I should let her fall through the stairs.
I'm going to have a zombie bite you. It's going to actually bite you.
I don't know those guys. Health and safety.
So she's gone ahead and is trapped, but our group have split between the places right now, because some of them have run back to the medical facility, the chemical facility, and some of the others so Chuck and Casey and Scuzz run to the medical facility. Trash gets eaten. Suicide and Spider head to the thing. Oh, maybe it's the. I've lost.
So some of them come to rescue Tina, don't they? They come to so Tina's being.
Maybe they all go there together. They all go there together because then some of them go back.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They go there first. Tarman gets Scuzz, whose parents don't even understand him.
Mm-hmm.
They rescue Tina, and then they all go back, with the exception of Chuck and Casey, who are on their own for a little while longer. Now, all of the others go back to the mortuary, because Tina has to be reunited with Freddy at some point. So they must rescue her and then all head there.
Okay, and this is when Scuzz gets his brain eaten off.
Yeah.
Right?
Gets his soft head eaten into. Gets his soft head eaten in like a cabbage cream egg.
Yeah.
How do you eat your brains? Just like that.
Just have a big bite of them out of the head. Yeah. Apparently they used, for realism, they used calf brains for some of this, and some of the extras were paid extra to actually eat them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you do it? Eat some calf brains?
Do I have to like chew and swallow? Can I just chew them up a bit?
Depends how much extra, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could. I don't know. I'm sure there's other stuff you can use these days.
Marshmallows.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those jellies that you get that look like brains for Halloween.
I love them.
Pick and mix. Oh, lovely. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, like from this point, we just escalate things more and more. So we know that Scuzz has been got. The Tarman is still locked up in the basement. A couple of those guys have been left behind, and Trash has been eaten. But the others go knocking on the door of the mortuary, just as things are kicking off, and everyone piles in with all of the zombies chasing them. And this is where it's a bit like when you have a dance and, one person dances and you might look a bit silly, but if loads of other people coordinate exactly with them, looks great. looks pretty great. And this is the same when it comes to the screaming, because now you have tens of people all screaming their absolute hardest.
In absolute agony.
Really going for it.
So is this the point where they start to barricade up the?
Yeah, so they barricade like the front door and barricade the windows as they're all coming in. There's a chapel as well, which they go and barricade as well. And I guess there's a little bit of the characters are kind of exchanging information as well at this point to try and work out what they're dealing with. So yeah, is this the only zombie movie where the zombies essentially can't be killed?
Yeah, there's no way to actively kill them that we find out in the movie. So the people are like bashing them with pipes to get them out as they're trying to barricade the doors.
Yeah.
And everyone's panicking and shouting at one another.
Yeah. Yeah, it's understandable, isn't it? Because it is pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is when this is where we get the rigor mortis bit with Freddy, and we see the blood pooling, because this is when when Tina is looking at him and saying, "Oh, you know what have they done to you?" and seeing the state that he's in. And this is also where we get name of a famous band I now hear: "Send more paramedics."
Yeah. And they do. It's as easy as that. If you're a paramedic, just go into your radio, send more paramedics, and they'll just keep them coming. Keep them coming until they run out.
Yeah, and I think Ernie has encountered a zombie at this point. And I did wonder, this is when he first goes out to realize, oh, hang on, the ambulance is still there. Let's go out. He goes out and he closes the door and sees one of the paramedics being eaten by a zombie.
And little legs.
Who he shoots at.
Non-legs or something.
Yeah. Do you think they had, I didn't see this in the trivia at all, do you think they had an actor who was an amputee that played that? I think they did it with
it looks like that, doesn't
prosthetics.
It? Yeah. I thought that character was going to pop up again, but this is the only moment we kind of see this dude. Which,
he chases him across the floor.
Yeah, it's pretty light on his feet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only gets back in. The zombies hear a radio go, and they get on the radio and ask for more paramedics. More come, and I think this is the one the guy that gets the worst tackle.
Yeah,
he goes flying. I think he lands in a massive puddle as well, like shoulder and face first. Yeah,
cheekbone absolutely smashed to bits. So yeah, we see here that the zombies obviously work together and they hide away until they can go and jump out and rip these poor paramedic dudes apart in their little yellow Macs.
Yeah, they got no hope. Would you say, just from this one, we already did a monster comparison, are these the worst zombies to fight?
Probably. You just can't kill them. I mean, they're not going to stop, and they're pretty speedy.
They're invincible. You can't kill them.
And they scream.
They shout. Right.
And they're sneaky with the send more paramedics and send more cops. They know how to get more food.
Yeah, and we understand. Obviously, there's a moment in this film where we understand why they want to kill and eat.
Yeah,
and at the same time, so you kind of understand that they are going to stop at nothing in order to get those
kind
brains.
of get it. This bit's now, in fact, I think, Ben. So we've had all these we've had this bit. We get the rigor mortis and blood pooling, and then we get a break in. So some of the windows are breaking. This is when the punk gang member Suicide gets got. Am I mistaken in this one? With the exception of Trash, do we see anyone that gets killed by a zombie come back as a zombie?
No.
I'm surprised that Suicide didn't get back up. So he gets his head bitten by a half lady zombie who they, I think, interrogate. They pronounce him dead, and I was expecting him to get right back up.
Yeah.
But he never does.
This half lady was like, do you remember the zombie from the very first episode of The Walking Dead and the very first issue of The Walking Dead, where there's like I think it's like a half alive woman, and I think Rick ends up going back to kill her, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just seeing her in agony.
That's the only episode of Walking Dead I've ever seen.
Oh, really? You've seen it all.
Is it worth watching? I think it's all on Disney Plus now, maybe, or something.
It's all just gone on Disney Plus. I watched the first 2 seasons, and then I thought, I've seen all I need to. I've read a fair few of the comics. I think
reckon
you could
I made
just
it...
do the one or the other.
Yeah.
I really liked the comics for a long time, but then it does get a bit samey.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, if I was to recommend just one piece of Walking Dead content, play the game. Play the game with good old Lee and Clementine. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good. There's also the Saints and Sinners. The VR one is meant to be fantastic as well. Yeah,
I've heard that's really good. But yeah, the Telltale games is one of those things. It's love it. You either enjoy the format or you don't. They did some good, impactful storytelling. The first season of The Walking Dead, you could go and do the others. I've just got the last one I haven't finished yet, but you could just play the first one, and it's really, really solid. It's really, really good storytelling.
I played
it's really emotional.
The Wolf Among Us game, and I thought that was fantastic.
It's great.
Really, really good. Yeah.
If you got on with that, in principle, then play some of the others. Like I found Walking Dead was really great. Guardians of the Galaxy is surprisingly deep. Shed a little tear towards the end of that bad boy. It was good. It's really
what
good.
happened to Telltale Games? Why did they go bust?
Overstretched, I think. I think for the time it took and the amount they had to pay for licenses, to the IP owners, I don't think there was that much profit in it by the time they carried on.
I'm surprised that no one has taken up that. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of games who are doing it, but it feels like no one's really taken up, because people love the Telltale games. Like they were there was a big fan base around that kind of game. No one seems to be doing it in a big way.
So the Robert Kirkman founded game studio, so Skybound, they took on the development of the last season of Walking Dead and got it finished.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't see anyone approaching IPs of that kind. I think Wolf Among Us 2 might still be happening with someone else.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't quote me on it. I think it's still not cancelled. I think it's coming, which is good because that was great. The first one was really good.
Yeah. Interesting.
But anyway, those zombies aside, we see that we get interview with a zombie, right? So in Suicide Being Killed, they have pulled in this zombie torso and they give her a cheeky little interview.
She's a funny little puppet.
What have you got to say for yourself?
Like doing that in the mouth or something. I'm not too sure how it works, but
spinal column is like sort of wriggling about.
Yeah.
So they basically go, "Why are you a zombie then?" And she goes, "Ah, I don't know." Oh. But yeah, this is interesting because this is again something that we haven't. I mean, I suppose with like Day of the Dead to a degree, but this is kind of like getting an insight into what's it like to be a zombie for the day.
No good.
Like they're in absolute agony. Being dead is agony, and for some reason, brains, for a while at least, seems to
alleviate the pain.
That pain.
Yeah.
The pain subsides from eating a brain. So who can blame them for wanting brains all the time?
Eating live brains makes the pain of being dead. And she goes into detail, right? She goes like, "Oh, I can feel myself rotting and it hurts."
Yeah.
So they love a brain because it makes you feel just a little bit better.
Lovely.
You kind of get I mean, they could go a different way about it, admittedly, but if you're a zombie, it's a good enough motivation, right? It isn't just, we see zombies and other things, and they're quite wasteful. They just seem to like biting people, but then leaving them.
Yeah.
Linnea Quigley, Trash, they completely ate her, and yet somehow they didn't even touch her. Like next time we see her, when she attacks someone, she's got a bit of a moldy face, and the rest of her is like exactly the same.
She's got a scary head now with a bigger bitier mouth.
She looks like what's her name from Ghostbusters?
Zool. Yeah.
Gozer.
I was getting serious Gozer vibes from her hair, obviously. Aim for the flat top.
So she's back, and a poor homeless man just minding his own business.
He kind of pervs. We get the impression he's like perving. We only see it from like the neck down, and then she like leaps out of nowhere.
She's now just got grey zombie skin, but is otherwise completely.
He looks all the way up and then
naked.
Just goes, "Oh no! Oh no!" She's a butterface.
Yeah.
This is another. Like, I ended up really diving in on the trivia on this one. Apparently, had loads of trouble working out what to do with Trash's crotch, because originally they filmed it full frontal nudity and just filmed it, and then one of the producers went, "I can't do that. No good, can't do that." So she went away and shaved her crotch, which was not the fashion at the time. And they went, "No," and then the producer was like, "That's even worse."
I fashioned a merkin, a pubic wig. Is that what they did?
No, they made her like a prosthetic crotch that was a bit like an Action Man. Yeah.
Zombies are famously sexless.
Yeah, sexless zombies. But even when she's just stripping as a non-zombie as well. So they just God knows how much money. Probably, her crotch probably employed a number of people on that film.
Yeah.
There we go. Not everyone could say that.
Yeah, but so the poor homeless man gets it. We see our other two characters who are probably the least notable because they don't have such cool names. So Chuck and Casey are still locked up together in like the warehouse, the facility. And we just get another little side story with these two, right? Where it's like he's been trying to chat her up for several portions of the film, and she clearly doesn't like him. And at this point, we think there might be a romantic turn, but they don't. She goes, "Oh, I just want to say that I've never really liked you, but if you just hold me really tight at the minute, that'd be nice because it's well scary."
It's what you want to hear, basically.
Yeah. And then everyone else is going there. This is when the cops first appear. We get a dispatcher and says, "Oh, a couple of ambulances haven't checked in," so they send some policemen to the scene. And similar fate.
Yeah, and then we get the send more cops bit from the zombie.
Not as good a band name.
No.
No. So
is it around about now that they decide to lock Frank and Freddy in the chapel? Now. Because obviously they're developing. They're dead, and even though they're not full zombie, they're still kind of talking, but they are both in agony. I think there's definitely a worry around everyone except for Tina that they're going to turn at some point soon and then try and eat their brains. So they decide to go lock them in the chapel, but Tina's like, "Nah, I'm going to stay." That's a good idea.
Yeah. And this is when we get it's not long after they go in there that we get a bit of a turn, right? So they're still trying to work out what's happening. They're working out that basically the zombies will continue to attack and get everyone the second they arrive, and they're just going to keep going until there's no one else to send. So they need to work something out. They lock the others away, but then Freddy has a bit of an epiphany. He's in there. He's going, "Oh, I feel rotten," and he sort of passes out briefly, and maybe that's meant to be when he turns. Yeah. Passes out momentarily, and he goes, "Oh," and then all of a sudden he has a moment of calm, and he's like, "Oh, I'll tell you what, it feels absolutely horrid being dead. But you know what would make me feel better? What's that?"
Frank, Jesus flipping hell, ask nicely.
So yeah, thankfully the others haven't gone too far away. They burst in the door and test the theory that like, "Oh, we can't fight them. Could we do anything with this acid?" And they test it by just wazzing all the acid in his face.
Wazz the acid straight in his little face, and he just makes him angrier and in more pain.
Yeah, he goes bowling over. And again, this is where they point out that the zombies aren't stronger than regular people. So between Spider and Bert and Ernie, they just beat him up. They beat him up, throw acid in his face and chuck him off. Frank escapes. Not Frank. Yeah, Frank. He escapes. He comically runs out of the room.
And he's got enough control over his mind to take himself to the incinerator thing and chuck himself in and burn himself alive. Poor Frank.
Yeah.
But did the right thing. A lifetime of agony. Look painful, but
he makes a stronger moral choice than 90% of people in zombie movies that have been bitten and go,
"Yeah,
I'm going to tell anyone."
Tough decision, though, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, and what a way to go. I guess it's the only option he has, though, right? Because we've established these zombies are fairly much invincible. So burning himself up in the furnace is the only thing he can do.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't have done anything else, and he would have been in a lifetime of agony. So, well done.
A bad old zombie eating people's brains.
Yeah, exactly. So I think at this point, Bert and Spider managed to leave in the police car, didn't they? They managed to get out, and I think they're supposed to be coming back for Tina, but I think
coming back for the other two, right? Because in the fight with Freddy, Ernie breaks his foot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. has a little sprained ankle or something.
So he's not gonna be able to run.
That's the one thing you do want. Oh,
they make it to the car. This is one of those things in zombie movies almost always goes wrong, but they pull it off.
Yeah, impressive, very impressive. So yeah, they're obviously driving away, and Ernie and Tina are kind of like, well, they're leaving us, but it seems like for some reason Bert's just decided, oh, we'll send help.
He knows. Ernie's behind him all the way. Apparently it's a mistake, and the director didn't realize until after the film was come out he'd accidentally named his characters Bert and Ernie. It was an absolute accident.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dear. Ernie says like, oh, they know what they're doing, otherwise they would have never made it.
Yeah.
Again, for them shouting and going absolutely wild early on, these people have a lot more about them. They have their heads together more than we see in a lot of zombie movies. So like you just said, like they would have been caught. They had to go. They'll send someone. And they escape, and they almost don't, because there's a lot of zombies that are obviously out in the streets. But they do escape, at least as far as getting back to the chemical facility.
Yeah. But pretty much just crash the police car as well, don't they? And total it. Well, they crash it, but then it just catches on fire, doesn't it, after that?
Yeah. So I guess it kind of blocks the door, so they're able to get in without loads of zombies piling in after them.
At this time as well, Ernie and Tina like go up to the attic because Freddy, blinded and going nuts, has smashed himself out of the chapel and into the mortuary, and he's down there shouting stuff.
So it's kind of their last stand, right? Like again, these zombies are real. They're real tricksters. He's playing some head games. He's like, "Oh, where are you?
It reminds me of the vampires in I Am Legend, the book, where they kind of turn up to Robert Neville's house and just try and convince him to come out by like calling upon their memories as humans and saying like, oh, Robert Neville, me and you, we used to go have a barbecue and that. And then the women vampires are like undressing seductively and they're like, come out here and it's going to be fine. And Robert Neville's like, fuck you.
Go deliver him a pizza. Oh, I've got a pizza here, Robert Neville.
You're going to have to come out and get it, though, unless you want me to post it through slice by slice, which, you'll get letterbox here. Post it through. The letterbox here.
Delivery bitch, send it in. All the tricks.
All the dirty tricks, and that's exactly what he's doing down there. He's like, come down here, I promise I won't eat your brains.
The most memorable part of that book is that he spends like an entire chapter trying to get this dog to trust him,
and then it
dies.
Yeah.
When he finally gets it to like not run away from him and it stays in the house, and he goes, it died a week later.
It died a week later.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with that book.
Yeah, I mean, there's that book. I mean, you can see why they changed it in the movie adaptation with Will Smith as to that entire scene where it shows how well he knows the movie Shrek.
Oh yeah, he loves it. Oh yeah, that's silly. Isn't it? How many times are you gonna watch it? Watch Shrek like twice if you're in some sort of
you have an entire
scenario.
Video shop that you go to. Surely you would have tried to complete it, even if it was just a film that you went, that wasn't for me. I won't watch that one again. What if you'd watched a different thing? What if you'd watched a film that wouldn't have been your interest, and it gave you a clue to solve the problem, like the problem of vampires? Oh, if only I'd watched Shrek a little bit less and worked on a cure a little bit more.
I'm watching this film called The Amiga Man, and it's really familiar for some reason.
The
Commodore 64 man.
Amiga. Oh mate, the Commodore 64 man.
The Atari man. We're right at the end here now, because this really comes to a head super quick. So the guys get back there. They have to have a confrontation with the tar man first. And they went, right, there's a big old monster down there, but Bert's had enough, and he goes, right, gonna knock its head off. So they open
bloody block off.
They open it, and this is where we get a full body of the Tarman puppet / actor coming out, and he staggers the room, and Bert's as good as his word, as his head right off with a baseball bat.
Yeah. Pretty easy. Headshot. There we go.
And they go down to the basement where there's another phone. They're able to use it. At first, they phone the police, and they manage to speak to the sergeant on the front lines just quickly enough as Trash and for a new recruit, only been a zombie 5 minutes and is in charge of them just because she's got a unique look.
Yeah. A unique. Hang on a minute. You're in charge, aren't you? Am I?
Well, yeah, you look a bit different to all the others. You have grey skin. You've only been a zombie a few minutes, so like Stripe in Gremlins basically is made the leader because he has a unique haircut.
I'll never forget that he's actually called Stripe now, rather than Spike.
Oh yeah.
Was he always called Stripe?
Yeah, no, he's always called. I think it was always called Stripe, but I think there's a trivia question. It came up as a trivia question. At some point.
It was in a quiz episode, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a pinnacle moment of a quiz episode.
First one is called Stripe, and the one in number 2 is called Mohawk.
Yeah, none of them are called Spike.
None of them.
Gotta know your gremlins in this game, Lee.
There's obviously a moment as well when the police are turning up that the zombies do a thing, do another little trick, where one of them's pretending to be like.
One's like Weekend at Bernie's to himself, and is like just dressed as a policeman, going, "Come on."
That's pretty good there. Yeah. Come on, and like, it's this way, and then they all jump out and kill the police.
Yeah, so they're on the phone. I really liked this bit. Like all of the others, like Spider and Chuck and the others are gathered round while Bert's on the phone. It's like, what's going on? He literally just holds the phone up to them.
Yeah.
He's, okay. So they make the final decision, call the number that's been on these drums since the beginning for the army. And it goes right back to the beginning of the movie. Remember the
I kind of forgot about this dude.
Yeah, old Chekhov's Colonel, John Terry. He's there. And he gets the call. It wakes him up in the middle of the night. He's on the other coast of the US. And he goes, long buddy last. Right. And he gets on the phone to him and says, all right, so what's the deal? And you just get one of those great like one-sided phone conversations. And what happened then? And what did you do? What did they do?
His wife is really like concerned, just kind of like sat up and listening.
Yeah, sitting up in bed. Like she's got like her eye mask that she's moved. It's like, yeah, okay. Right. I'm gonna pass you back to old Captain Turner now, and I'll transfer you. And we don't worry, please, just don't worry. We've got a contingency for this. It's going to be fine. And everyone's very reassured. And then we see.
What is he saying? It's like,
yeah. That's it.
Wait, do you hear that?
Yeah. We go to this base, and they have like a lovely chat. And he's like, "Hello, yeah, good morning to you as well, sir. Okay, here are the coordinates." and it's like a special cannon that fires like big nuclear cannon shells. And then you're right, everyone's like, "I'm on hold." So they've got a plan. They just do like. You know, one of those toy guns that can do all the different laser noises. That's the grenade sound.
What does he say? Do you hear that? It sounds like.
And everyone's listening. Over the course of this back and forth scene, Freddy's been trying to get into the loft, and it's like, "Oh, you've made me smash my hand clean off." Really trying to guilt his girlfriend into like, "Oh, you made me smash my hand. You made me hurt myself again. It's just because I love you and I want to eat your brains."
Why would you let me eat your brains?
And Ernie has like a scene where he is like pointing his gun, like his Luger at the back of her head. He's thinking about killing them both so they can't be got by zombies. And this is just it, isn't it? So these guys are in the thing and they've heard the whistle. Freddy bursts through the thing. The Trash and the zombies are just outside in the field looking up at the sky, and they all get Raccoon City'd.
Yeah.
They get Raccoon City nuked, and I think we see a news report as well saying that not a news report, but a report saying 4,000 people.
It's the colonel
died.
says, "Oh yeah, like about 20 city blocks, about 4,000 people dead." Actually, in the circumstances, that's all good, and don't you worry. Tell the president everything's going to be fine because now it's raining, and that will wash away all the evidence. But it's not going to wash away all the evidence, is it? We see it dripping down
It's the same shot, isn't it? It's the same shot as earlier.
You make the skeleton
stuff. The bloody skeleton again. Yeah, there we go.
There we go, and that's the end.
And there we go.
It's a really fun ending, I think.
Yeah.
And then we get like, I love this in credits. I want this in credits more. We get like the greatest hits of the movie set to a bit of the soundtrack.
It's like the trailer.
All your favorite bits.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like a blooper reel or something, but it's just the actual best bits of the movie.
Yeah.
That'd be great for this modern world where there's not time to watch all the content. If there was a film you just weren't feeling, or you wanted to recap, you could just watch the last 5 minutes in the credits.
What I will say is,
no spoilers.
They should do it for games. Days Gone, the credits themselves were longer than the game. Like they would never end, and you couldn't skip them either. But yeah, so I've got a couple of name games, and I think Andy's going to chuck one or two in as well. Ben's going to think of one on the spot. I've just surprised him with that there. So I watched a film the other day. It's about two bumbling employees at a medical supply warehouse who accidentally released a deadly gas in the air. The vapor causes the dead to rise again and worry about stuff. Do you know what that one was called?
Return of the Living Dread.
Close.
Oh. Return of the Existential Dread.
It wasn't that close, to be honest.
Oh. I don't know. Return of the Living. Is it just the dead word I need to get?
Can't possibly say.
I don't know.
No, I'm stuck on this one.
Concern of the Living Dead.
Concern.
Concern of the Return of the Living Dread was better, I think. I'm sorry. No, I shouldn't do that.
You should have kept that one. You should have kept that one for yourself.
I shouldn't shit on your game. I'm sorry. That was rude of me. I told you I'm not myself. I'm foggy.
He's got weariness still to work out.
He's gone rabid. Okay, we'll see if we get this one then. So two bumbling employees at a medical supply warehouse accidentally release a loaf of bread that isn't cooked through, and all they have available is a grill.
Reburn of the Living Bread.
Really close. All they have is a grill.
Reburn of the Grilling Bread.
Reburn of the Grilling Bread, yeah.
I can't even process that. Like I was trying to process it part by part, but I couldn't.
What about you, Andy? What you got?
Living Bread was one of my ones on my list, but don't worry, I've got one. Two bumbling employees release a chemical at work which turns all of the butter in their fridge back into milk. So they only have one thing they need to do.
Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead. Zombies are also involved. Another one, two bumbling employees release a chemical which reanimates corpses in a local graveyard, but also makes them forget all of the French that they've previously been taught the day before their French oral exam. They have no choice
but to relearn.
Yeah, it's still of the Living Dead. There are zombies involved in this one.
Is it relearn of the Living Dead as well?
Yeah, relearn of the Living Dead.
Overcomplicating it. Relearn of the living French. Re-French of the learn.
I was trying to think
French.
of some French words. J'adore. It's all like baguette.
Yeah, there you go. There's a couple. Have you come up with one on the spot, Ben?
No.
You had one, but you burned it. You had Return of the Living Dread.
I have Return of the Living Dread, but I blew my beans too early. Nothing to rival those, unfortunately.
I'll give you one more then, Ben, if you like.
Please.
I'll give you one more if you fancy then. So, two bumbling employees in a chemical factory release a chemical and also strip their beloved botanical garden of some ancient plants that were loved to be eaten by vegetarian dinosaurs. And during the zombie outbreak, they're forced to put these plants back in before the boss comes.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. There you go. You've got to return.
You got to return, right? Where the returns have been eaten by the dinosaurs. You got to return them. There we go. There we go.
So we need to rate the film.
Do.
I don't know. I don't know if my rate is going to be a bit controversial. I don't know. Because I feel like this feels like this is a horror royalty film, right? This was a film that people go to the graves with the DVDs of.
They come back out of them if it rains.
Acid rain brings them back to life.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
I'm going to go with a solid B+.
Fine. It's as good as an A- in my book.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why this is horror royalty. It's good. I like all the little attention to detail bits on of zombie lore, and it's quite unique and stuff that hasn't necessarily been done before or afterwards. It's obviously quite unique in that sense. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it before, so it's a bit strange. So for me, to haven't seen it for the first time, it's hard for me to stick it right up there with the best. But I will go for a B. I'll go for a middling B.
Right, straight down the middle B. Unlike you guys, I have a childhood fondness for this movie, and I think I'd forgotten about it because it had been so long since I've seen it. It's really held up. I thought the dialogue it's dated, but it's dated in a way that it's very sharp still. It's very well delivered. Watched as a period piece, it's excellent. And the screaming, as much as especially those guys you think, old Freddie and Frank, yes, they are overacting it, but over time, I really settle into it. And I think that it's great. I think the effects are all very practical and they still, by and large, hold up very well. I love this movie. I'm going to go a step higher than Luke and give this an A-.
Cool. I thought you might.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I love the soundtrack. I've been making myself a new Spotify playlist with 80s horror tracks on there. I'm putting a ton from this on in there. Got Touch Me Baby All Night Long from Nightmare on Elm Street 2 when he's unpacking his house. All the hits. What time?
I'll tell you what's a good one to add. One that I've got on a soundtrack of mine. The theme from Fright Night 2 is a bit of a banger.
I'll add it, Luke, and then Ben. And then once we've got all these on, we will release it to the group. What a Spotify playlist you can all get involved.
We'll add some suggestions. Maybe we'll put in the group and ask for suggestions as well.
Yeah, if you're listening now, guys, hit us up with your best. Doesn't have to be from the 80s. I would just accept it sounding like it's from the 80s.
Yeah,
sounds like it's from any other era. Then don't bother.
Don't you bloody bother.
But yeah, give us your best horror soundtracks. We'll put a playlist together. We'll unleash it on the world.
Early 2000s new metal from horror movies is banned because I think it probably deserves its own playlist.
Its own playlist, right? Ben, you can be in charge of curating the new metal playlist. I'll deal with the 80s synth sounding one.
Yeah, why not?
And Luke, do you want to do a classical one with all of the Halloween themes and everything on?
Well, I'll just do the cat people soundtrack.
Nice.
He loves it. Bloody loves it, doesn't he?
So, next week we are doing a trilogy. There's so much content. I think.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be out, right? I know number 1, number 1994, and number 1980 something. They're out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the olden days one to come.
Yeah.
And 1666 is out this Friday, so we'll discuss all 3 of them.
Okay.
Next week's episode, we'll work out a way of
none of you
streamlining it.
You've seen the first one. Andy's partway through the first one. Ben is all the way through the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all the way through the first one as well.
Get the second one.
I start the second one. I fell asleep within seconds. So did
Dun-dun. That's the Netflix noise.
It was the middle of the day and you were driving. Jeez.
Are you still watching? I'm naked.
I'm asleep. Yeah, I guess we'll have to do this one slightly differently, right? Because 3 movies to go in the kind of detail we usually do, we'll be here all night. So do we take one each and bullet it, rattle through?
I feel like a whistle stop through the.
Can you whistle?
You hear that?
What's that noise?
and now you've stopped. So that's a whistle stop. So through the old.
So James Wan again.
James Wan, get on with Aquaman.
Oh, matron.
Right, so now headcanon, James Wan sounds like Kenneth Williams.
Ooh, Aquaman.
Yeah. Cool. So thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed the show, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Come join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Cool little gang of people in there. I think we were thinking of doing some sort of gaming session at some point. Dead by Daylight was on the cards. I think I've got it downloaded, ready to go.
Yeah, I will splash out and I'll get it so I can come and join in that as well. And I think next time we do a quiz, we might add some kind of element for the people in the group as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to my co-hosts Ben and Andy. Trying to give you nicknames then.
Hair and Scab.
Hair, Scab, and Bold.
Cool. Okay,
yeah.
Let us know what your nicknames were at school, or if you were a psychic villain character in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, give us your 80s really edgy, tough gang
Not
names.
Viper. Viper will not be accepted.
Yeah, unless you can prove. Without the proper credentials, Viper will not. Any type of venomous snake will not be permitted.
What a loser.
I'm just looking. You just got me thinking of the bad guys from the Swamp Thing cartoon. Do you ever watch that? There was like the guy had the snake neck. He was called Dr.
Snake
Demo.
neck.
There was another guy called Skin Man.
Oh yeah. Man.
Man thing. Oh, that's something else. Cool. All right. I'll leave it at that. Nice one.
Yeah,
see you later.
Next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.